I became chairman of the Board of Regents on July 1st. Only a few days later, what's been called the Free Report was released regarding the incidents at Penn State University. Looking at that report, it struck me that a responsible Board of Regents ought to make sure that its policies and procedures were proper so that an incident like what happened at Penn State would not happen here. Its original charge was to review all the policies and procedures of the Board of Regents and of the institutions, try to make sure that they are current and would appropriately deal with a situation such as happened at Penn State. We wanted to find somebody who had the experience and background necessary to conduct that investigation and to give us the appropriate legal advice. It's James Sears Bryant. Mr. Bryant's a lawyer who I have known for, over 30 years. He's a former district judge here in Oklahoma, he's a former prosecutor here in Oklahoma.
And I do a lot of higher education projects, some of which have been similar to the one at Oklahoma State Regents. We were charged with the task of finding out what happened, the underlying facts that surrounded the controversy, to understand what the response of the administration was, were the laws and policies followed, was the federal law followed, and the impressions of the students involved in the process.
The report is approximately 30 pages long. It contains a couple of key findings. First is that the people at Oklahoma State, the administrators at Oklahoma State, all acted in good faith, did not violate any laws.
Really, the controversy swirled in this case around whether OSU and OSU's policies and the Regent's policies could have allowed for an earlier notification of the police. And the impression was left that Oklahoma State did not feel that the federal law allowed them to respond any quickly or to notify the police any quicker than they did. And that wasn't right. It wasn't illegal that they didn't, but federal law did not prevent it. We recommended in the future that Oklahoma State and the Regents change their policies to provide for that immediate notification, that the procedures be such that we don't wait until the appeals process is over, until a final order is entered, but as soon as an administrator or anyone affiliated with Oklahoma State or any of the schools within the system learns of a sexual assault, that it be reported immediately to the police.
The second recommendation from the task force is that the Board of Regents retain the services of somebody called an independent advocate for victims of sexual assaults.
I told the task force in my presentation I didn't meet an administrator or a lawyer or an employee that wasn't first rate, that compared favorably with people I'd seen at any institutions I've ever worked at or worked for. They were open, they were transparent, they were helpful, they were self-critical, and they were innovative. They suggested ways to do things in the future. They had a lot of ideas already. I think that the task force was a vehicle for them to help give their impact to the trustees.
If there's one point I'd like to emphasize, the Board of Regents has stated before and will state again, and I think through this process does state, it will not tolerate wrongdoing on our campus, whether it's legal wrongdoing or ethical wrongdoing, immoral conduct or conduct that violates our policies. That's a strong statement we want to make. It's what we believe, and I think these policies will foster that.